Welcome to another edition of the A-List Podcast. I'm your host, Sherrod Blakely, with the co-host, with the most, Kwani A. Lunis. How you doing today, Kwani?
I'm doing well. How are you?
This is a big day.
It is.
This is a milestone day.
Why is that? Tell the viewers.
This is the Eddie House Podcast, the Big 5-0.
We hit half a century.
We are unofficially grown-ass folks in the podcast game now that we got 50 episodes under the belt.
That's a big deal.
Under the belt. Hopefully, we'll keep it going and hopefully we'll at some point be able to celebrate podcast number 71. So then we can talk about this dude, Dennis Schroder. Now, listen, I had ideas of what he could do for the Celtics when he came here. I did. He's actually done better than I thought. I did not think that he could help this team as much as he has. And again, their record is nothing that's out of this world. But when you consider where they are and where they would be if it wasn't for Dennis Schroder, my goodness, young fella's balling.
17 points a game right now on average. Bringing points on both sides of the floor, really. He's bringing the little things I think the Celtics needed. And I know I made this joke last week, but Marcus Smart, what you doing?
Oh, wow. Wow. Don't come after my boy Smart.
I'm not
do
coming
it.
At him. But I did mention how it makes you wonder if Dennis would, and you disputed it, but Dennis has really stepped up his game to the point where I could see him getting more starter minutes and doing more and contributing more for this team.
I'm going to just say right now.
I'm not a coach.
The idea of putting Dennis in that starting lineup and putting Marcus to the bench is bad.
I know it's turmoil waiting to happen.
Well, not only that, I just think that they have enough talent in that starting unit to where Dennis coming off the bench is a better balance.
It's important.
Right now, they're not a very good team in terms of their bench impact. And part of that has to do with the fact that one of their best scorers, arguably their best scorer off the bench, is in the starting lineup because of Jaylen Brown's injury. So once Jaylen gets back into the flow and gets into the starting lineup, because Ime made it clear, Dennis is going back to that bench when Jaylen come back. Things, I think, at that point are going to be a lot better for the Celtics because now they're playing better defense. They'll have guys in roles that they're I think, more accustomed to playing. But the one thing about Dennis, and I looked at his numbers, just his career numbers, and the only difference we're seeing now with him than past years or throughout his career, he's playing more. Exactly, Dennis, in fact, he's playing more minutes in Boston right now that he's played on any team in his career, which to me is mind-blowing because one of the concerns that we all had was that is Dennis going to get enough minutes to be happy when he's playing with Marcus, when he's playing with Josh Richardson? Not only is he feasting off the minutes he's getting, he's going up for seconds. He's got the nice Teflon plate where he's just stacking up, eating good. And the Celtics are much better than I thought they would be. Now, to your point,
to that point, why would you not want him in a starting rotation then? I know that they need some depth on the bench, but he's clearly producing.
He's producing, but I don't know how it's going to work when Jaylen is back in the mix. If you had him, Jaylen, and Tatum together, see, he can get away with being a starting unit now because, and you look at the guys out there, he's the second best scorer. Right. So he can play that number 2 scoring role. But how is he going to adjust when Jaylen's out there and he's going to get fewer touches? Whereas if you have him coming off the bench, he can pretty much be the same player he is in that starting lineup now. He's either your first or second option scoring when he's with the second unit. So I like when Brown gets back and he goes back to that bench. And to be, he's having a better season than Marcus Smart. If we're being honest and real about it, he is. I don't think anyone can argue that. But I like Marcus in that first unit because I think Marcus gives that unit balance. And because to me, it's not always about having your best players play together. It's about having the best fit among your players out there together. And I just think that Marcus is a better fit for this team right now. But make no mistake about it, though. Dennis is playing well enough to where what you're talking about, Kwani, it has to be something that at a minimum level, the Celtics are giving some thought to.
Right.
Because he's earned the right to be in that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. But despite that, we have, Tatum and Schroder, and this team still is not looking right.
Kwani, I'm gonna translate what Kwani really wanted to say. This team still stinks, even with the guys they got. That's what she really wanted to say.
Thank you, the Kwani Lunis translator, because
I got that. Listen, I got that BC translation thing down pat. I know what y'all trying to say most of the time.
People have messaged me saying, just like, I'm so frustrated with this team. I'm over them, and I'm just like, I don't know. I cannot tell you what the issue is.
This is who they are.
No diagnosis.
This is who they are.
That's their identity.
But we haven't talked a lot about it, but not only are the players adjusting to a different kind of system and for a lot of them different roles, they're dealing with a coach who's adjusting to a team isn't quite what he was planning to utilize. And everything for Ime at this point is new. And so he is going to make some bad decisions. He's going to make mistakes. And we've seen him make mistakes. We've seen him have lineups out there that you're just scratching your head like, what the hell is he thinking with that crew? I mean,
and that's what I'm trying to keep in mind. I know it's still new for everyone. I'm trying to be generous and give them.
You're trying to be patient.
Right. But I know fans would at least be very frustrated watching the inconsistencies.
They should be. Because this team, right now, they're a 500 team. But they realistically
should be mind-blowing.
It is. They really should be more like 10-4, 11-5. And at that point, to me, that means that they have actually peaked at they maxed out. That to me is the best case scenario. So I would like to see them a game or two over 500 at this point, because I think that's more realistic about where they should be. But listen, fans ain't trying to hear that though. I mean, they want them dubs now, and I get that. But the one thing I will say is that even though they're not record-wise where you want to be, there are signs that this team is trending in the right direction. And specifically, I'm talking about their defense. I mean, right now, the Celtics for the season, as crappy as they seem to have been, as much as they ran around like first half of the season, they have the 10th best defense in the NBA right now. And if you even take a deeper dive and you say, well, what have they done for me lately? Okay, last 7 games, the number 1 defense in the NBA, last 7 games. And they're 5-2. Only like 1 or 2 teams have a better record than them over the last, during that time period. So they're winning. They're winning with their defense. And this, I think if you're a Celtics fan, you got to feel better about this team right now than you did like maybe after games 2, 3, 4, and 5, because they look like they sucked. I mean, there's no other way of getting around. They look like trash the first 4 or 5 games of the season. And that's not who they are. They're playing closer to who I think they are now, but there's still room for them to grow, still room for them to get better.
And I think the defense aspect is really important to think about, because when you look at any team, there's always going to be 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 players that are going to be consistent scorers, or at least, one person that can bring you the points. But if you can't lock down on defense on a consistent basis, you have no chance at making it to the playoffs. And obviously for them, hopefully that's one of their goals. So if you can stay consistent with this defense and, despite your scoring droughts, just lock down on the other teams, they have a decent shot.
Yeah, they do. They do. And that's really what they want. I mean, ultimately, that's what you want. You just want to have a shot. And they are definitely trending in that direction. And what's that?
I said pun intended. Keep going.
I know. Look at Kwani trying to be funny.
Let me slip my dad jokes in and you keep moving.
I know. I try to. I really do that. And Kwani, that's 100% intentional. I'm going to just let you know that.
I know.
But listen, they definitely, they're giving themselves a shot to be successful every night when you play defense. There's no getting around that. And part of their success of just having a shot at winning is the old man in the building, Al Horford. The old man in the building is getting it done.
Dude.
Ranks 3rd in the NBA in block shots. I wouldn't know if Al would have ranked 3rd on the team in block shots at the beginning of the season.
Look, I was listening to the broadcast on the radio. I know I sound old, but I like listening to basketball games if I'm driving anyway. And Max,
you think that sound like that's something for like 1922?
I know, but like people don't think
that's like 2015.
People think millennials don't appreciate radio calls, and I do.
You don't,
so
but that's another story. I don't. That's another story.
Yes, I do. Don't generalize.
Just did. Keep going.
Max was talking about Al, and he was like, "Old man time. Look what I think he had just slammed it in or something like that in their last game against Cleveland." And I was just like, "Yeah, like you said, I did not expect him to have this breakout season, it's not that I thought he was going to be mediocre, but Al has really turned some heads for people that thought he was washed when he went to Philly and then eventually wasn't barely in OKC. He's proven a lot of people wrong right now.
I'm just blown away and just so happy that Al is representing all the old men out there. Way to rep us. Way to show that we still can get it done when we get in the game. Al is he's like my new Buddha right now. That's my Buddha. Al freaking Horford. That's the man. That is the man with the plan. The thing I like about Al is that he's playing really well. And he's doing all the little things. I mean, the only thing he's not doing well is shooting the three ball. He's shooting like 28%, which he's got to do better than that. But he's doing so many other things that are so what you expect from Al Horford to do. And to me, again, he's giving this team hope that once you young fellas figure out how to get the damn thing done, I can kick back and chill. But y'all know that I still got it. I still got it. When y'all need me, I can deliver. And if you need me less now, you can have more of me later. So the sooner you can create less of me now, I can deliver more later because y'all know I still got it. Exactly. You see them balls pinning on the glass? I'm doing that. You see them layups? I'm doing that. Those nice dives in transition and a half-court shot from the elbow? Yup. This guy bringing it still. To me, I'm really happy for Al that he's having success because I thought his first run with the Celtics, really, I thought he was unfairly criticized a lot of times when he was just simply making basketball winning plays, but people got caught up in the contract. And people felt that, if you're a max player, you've got to put up max numbers. And Al, to me, is an example of a guy who gives you max impact, but doesn't necessarily put up the numbers to back that up. You look at his leadership, his passing, his rebounding, and now in 2021, the block shots. Where did that come from? So, like I said, I'm a big fan of Al. I'm a big fan of big men who getting it done. And Kwani, speaking of big men, did you see the Cleveland game, the last one?
I did.
It was a Tacko Fall sighting with no Gino.
It was
Tacko Fall on the floor, and Gino is nowhere to be found.
NBA All-Star Tacko Fall.
That dude. He had 2 rebounds. I can't remember how many minutes he played, but I know he was a +7. So obviously good things happen when Tacko was on the floor. I'm happy for Tacko.
Me too.
I'm really happy.
He might really get a chance in Cleveland to establish himself and get the reps in, but just really, I don't know. I was pleasantly surprised for him. Happy for him.
I was surprised that he is part of their mix because they've already got some really good bigs to begin with. Exactly. They got the rookie Mobley. Obviously Jared Allen, I think, is having a most improved player of the year kind of season. Yeah. And then you got Tacko, who again, he's 7'6" every day. Every time he step on the floor. And it was good to see him out there playing because I mean, full disclosure, I've seen a lot of Tacko around here in these damn commercials.
Oh, absolutely. I still see them. Yes. I don't want to give the sponsors any credit, but yeah, I've seen a lot with him.
Yeah, there's an insurance company that's doing quite well with Tacko. Every time I turn it on,
laundry thing. Yeah,
I see Tacko at the laundromat. I see him at the winning prizes for kids at the carnivals. I'm thinking like, damn,
shout out to his marketing team or whoever is his agent or whatever because they have really capitalized.
Team Tacko. I got much respect for Team Tacko. Putting money in young fella pocket. He ain't even in a city.
Exactly.
I'm a big Tacko fan.
And the fact that he barely got a chance to play when he was here, but they took advantage of him being in this big market, and now that he's in Cleveland, he's still cashing in, which is
exactly
genius.
Multiple streams of income is always multiple streams of income are always welcomed.
Yes,
absolutely. Always welcome to the A-List podcast. Now, we've been really, really positive, Quinn. This might have been the most positive podcast we've had. There has been like absolutely no dirt, no shade, no anything at anyone. We got to flip it up. You know we got to flip it up. I want to get into Jaylen. I want to get into Jaylen. And I want to get into Jaylen in that hamstring. I'm a little nervous about the hamstring. Only because here's hear me out when I say this. I'm not nervous about how he's going to come back. I'm nervous that we may be having this same conversation in another week, another month, another 2 months about him and that hamstring or that knee or some other physical ailment. I'm getting this really icky feeling that this is a precursor to what may be something we're dealing with, not necessarily the hamstring per se, but just nagging minor injuries, but injuries that are significant enough that are going to keep him on the sideline. And I just have this weird feeling we're going to be dealing with this in some capacity throughout most of the season, whether it's a game or two here where he'll play 5 or 6 and miss a game or two. But I don't feel as though he's going to get past this and then it'll be smooth sailing.
Do you suspect information is being withheld to the public about the state of his injuries?
I don't think it's that. I just think that Jaylen is one of those athletes who pushes himself so hard that what you're seeing on the medical report is okay. But then he takes his ass out there and plays so damn hard. What you don't see is the damage that he's doing to his body because he's playing so hard. And I respect that. I mean, I respect the fact that when Jaylen's out there playing, I never feel as though I'm not getting my money's worth. I never feel as though he's just out there lollygagging, not playing.
He hustles every time,
Yeah. Now he's going to make mistakes and he's going to miss shots and he's going to, not get it done. But I never feel as though it's because he's not trying to. It feels as he's just having one of those games. But with that, I worry about his health a lot. Not that it's going to be like he's going to be devastated and out for a significant time, but it feels as though he's going to miss enough games to where it's going to make you wonder every night, is this the night where he's going to not be able to go tomorrow? And when that's your number 2 guy, it's not a good look. Not a good look.
Especially looking forward to the game I have circled, even though I don't know if this team matches up to them, but there's reports that LeBron may be back for their game against Boston, the Lakers game against Boston.
I hope not.
That would have been a game to see him in. And I don't know if the rumors are true. NBA rumors, take them with a grain of salt, but I did see that reported. So I hope it's a good Boston LA matchup when I'm seeing one. I want it to be equal.
See, here's the thing, Kwani, you want equality. I want disparity.
Not equality because you're not equal to LeBron, but you want to be at as much strength as you can be.
I want them to be as weak as hell if I'm the Celtics. I want them to have nothing but G League players available. What's that?
You want the Celtics to be weak?
No, I want the Lakers to be weak. I'm
saying the fact that it's reported that LeBron would be back, that's when you start to question how often will Jaylen be out for big games like this, is the point I'm making.
Yeah. And that is a concern. That is a concern. But for them, the bigger concern is just figuring out how to navigate without him. And I think they've got a pretty good idea of how to do that. And Schroder has a lot to do with that. Extremely aggressive now when he has the ball offensively. And in fact, he's figured out how to be even more aggressive without Jaylen in the lineup, which I think is smart because I thought the first few times that he was on the floor and Jaylen wasn't available, I didn't think he was really looking to score like he has the last 4 or 5 times out. And again, he's doing pretty much what he has always done in his career. The only difference in Boston is just playing more minutes. And when I say by more minutes, I'm saying he's playing a career high number of minutes, which is kind of crazy when you think that, all those years in Atlanta where he was the starting point guard forever and a day, he never really played. Yeah, he never really played like 33 minutes a game. I think he's only had maybe 2 or 3 seasons where he's averaged better than 30 minutes per game. And in Boston right now, he's at that mark. So I'm really excited about this team. Not crazy about Jaylen and the hamstring. I'm even less crazy about Robert Williams, who left the last game against Cleveland with some knee soreness.
Yeah.
Now,
another one, when you talk about the injury concerns, we've waited this long to see him.
Right. And to me, the frustrating part about Rob is that he's finally starting to turn the corner. Right. You're finally starting to see this dude play significant minutes, which, I can't even tell you how many times on the Garden Report we talked about last year, Robert Williams only playing 25 damn minutes. How you gonna have your best athlete out there for basically half a game? Half a game. Brad, I get it. Unfortunately, I do get it, but it's good to see him playing high 20s, low 30s in terms of playing starter minutes is basically what he's doing now. But the health is always going to be an issue with Rob. It's always going to be a concern. And, the issues that he's dealing with, it feels though as they're issues that are never going to fully go away and that they're going to pop up anytime unexpectedly. And your concern isn't so much of him missing a couple games in November. What about April? What about May? Can we get to the point where we feel, a worst case scenario, if you're in a big playoff series in April or May, not so much that he misses the entire series, but that, you guys they're in a battle for getting out of the first round and they win the first game and they're up 1-0 and they've got a chance to, take a 2-0 lead on the road and Rob ain't available for game 2. And then you lose that game. And then it's just like, oh, and he misses a couple games. And that's my concern with Rob. It's Jalen concern amplified. Like Jalen, I'm concerned with, but Rob, I'm like, really concerned that we're going to be going through this roller coaster up and down. He's playing one night, he's playing, with his fingers on the bench the other. Don't feel good about it. Don't feel good. I
can agree and attest to that.
Now, well, you can. You can't make him a cyborg. That ain't gonna.
You could.
He could die trying, but you don't want to do that.
Musk. I think Elon Musk might have something up his.
Don't get that man any ideas. Don't get that man any ideas.
You're right. He will capitalize even more.
You'll be like, if I created,
he doesn't need any more money.
If I created like 15 basketball playing cyborgs, I wonder how much that would
worth. I believe it was in China, like derailing a little bit, but there was a robot that can shoot hoops. Let me find it real quick, just so I can make sure I'm giving you guys accurate information.
If you're a robot and you shoot, you better not miss. If you're a robot and you shoot, you better not miss.
Yeah, it's 100% accurate basketball playing robot. I think Toyota created it. It's crazy.
Here's the thing. If he doesn't miss a shot and he's playing against another robot, they're not going to miss a shot.
That means the game is never going to end. I love this headline. It says Toyota's basketball robot is more accurate than Steph Curry. Duh. Who wrote that? I would hope you made a robot that was more accurate than Steph.
But you put them both in the game and see what happened. Steph bringing some circuits.
They need some defensive robots maybe to balance it out.
That's what I want to see. I want to see. Can you make a Marcus Smart defensive robot? You sprinkle in a little bit of Marcus
robot.
Yeah. Take a little bit of Marcus Curry.
I'd watch that one-on-one game.
What's that?
I said I'd watch that one-on-one robot game if it existed.
If you got the Marcus Smart robot against the Steph Curry robot,
yeah,
I'd pay to see that.
I'd pay to see
that. But see now, if Elon Musk is winning this, he's gonna be like,
Yeah, if you're listening, please don't send this to him unless we're getting a cut, which I doubt is gonna happen. So just keep this between us and the listeners.
Yeah, as long as we got this timestamp, we might have a case.
We might have a case. A day in November.
Exactly. I tell you
were
what,
actually making a point though. So
I tell you what though. We're talking about shooting, and it's just hard to talk about this because I love the young fella, but Jayson Tatum is killing us. He's killing. He's in one of those funks that I've never seen him in before, and I have no rhyme or reason why it's lasted this long. It doesn't deter me from my belief, and he's going to be one of the greatest Celtics to ever play for this organization. He will be a future Hall of Famer. His jersey will get retired. No one will ever wear that number after he's done playing. I think he's that good. But damn, right now, he ain't that good. And
the wild part is that him not being that good and still averaging like 23 points a game is wild to me because if this is just mediocre Tatum, then where is superstar Mamba like Tatum? Because
that's the scary part because there's a part of me that believes that, all the Tatum bashing at one point, he's just going to rise up and be like, look, hold my Gatorade. hold my Gatorade, because Tatum,
Not fear.
yeah, exactly. And he's gonna go on I think Tatum's gonna go on a tear where he's dropping like 40 a night. I think he's gonna have like 4 or 5 games in a row where he becomes the best player on the planet. Leaves
I
no doubt
predict
about
that
that.
happens against LA.
You think that's gonna start it?
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna channel his inner Kobe against Kobe's old team.
Yeah, I'll put money on that.
Ooh,
You know I hate hot takes.
Kwani hates hot takes, but she put that one in the oven and
This
turned
is
it
the
to
headline for the
375.
podcast.
She didn't even go 350. She put that at 375 so he can heat up quicker. Okay.
Quickly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tatum gonna heat it up. So now I need a number, Kwani. I need a number. What's he gonna drop against the
Oh,
Lakers?
a number.
I'm gonna go 50. He's gonna hit him with a 50 piece.
Why not 60?
Damn.
Is that too much?
Damn.
I'm asking for too much.
Kwani putting all the chips on the table. She's just like,
Put them up at this
I'm gonna
point.
see your 50 and raise it. Raise it. Okay.
Good thing I'm not an actual betting woman because I probably would lose a lot of things.
But the funny part is, if he drops like 60, Kwani will be the first. I told y'all. I tried to tell y'all.
Absolutely. And if he like bombs, then I'll be like, I don't know.
Run the tape back.
Right.
Let them know I said that. Let them know.
And if it doesn't happen, we're deleting the episode and it will not exist on the internet.
I think
extreme.
But I just think he's going to have a stretch where he's just going to be the best player on the planet. He's too good not for that to happen. Because I've gone back and I've watched his last couple of games just to see the type of shots he's getting. And, when Ime says that Tatum is getting the shots that he wants, he ain't lying. These are shots that we've seen him make time and time and time again. Why they're not going in now, I have no idea. There's no rhyme or reason to that. Defenses are not locking him up.
Game? Like, what is
the only thing I can think of is that he's still adjusting to playing with a little bit more bulk. That he's still adjusting even though the form looks great, when you have more strength, even when the form is the same, the power and the release and all that stuff, it takes a little bit of recalibration to get all that stuff down pat. It's like if you go play basketball and then you go to the gym right after that and you lift like, you go hard for like 20 minutes and you go back out there and shooting, your shot gonna be off. It is going to be off.
It has happened to me often.
Did you just flex?
Yeah, I was flexing.
We just flexed. Your BC Eagles are bowl eligible, and so now you flexing too.
And our BC men's basketball team looking okay too. We out here. I was giving y'all football team credit. You started it. I wasn't
your basketball. Listen, your basketball team. That's another story. We're gonna have this conversation in about a month.
Okay, I know it's not Syracuse, but it means a lot. Okay.
We're not that good either. This year. I own that. We are mediocre at best, but we're better than BC though. I'm just letting you know that. That's real.
Okay.
That's real. So anyway, this is enough about college basketball talk. The cool thing about the Celtics now, though, is that they are playing better. And not only are they playing better, but they've got a chance to really kind of capitalize on some home cooking. They play the Hawks on Wednesday, and after that, they've got 4 games in a row at home. It's their longest homestand of the season, and the Celtics will be wise to capitalize on that. This is an opportunity for them to really get above 500 and get back into the fray of things in the East. The potential for them to move into the top 3, top 4 spot in the East is very real. Particularly when you play defense the way they do. How do you think this homestand is going to go for them, Kwani?
To your point, this is the chance for them to also just establish dominance at home. I don't think they've done that up until this point. And so the comfort of being in your home arena for a homestand, that is no excuse to not really figure out the floor. I don't know what it is, if it's a spacing issue, whatever, you're home now. So figure out a way to win at home because that's the best thing that you could do at this point to be a really consistent team.
And the 4 teams that they're playing at home, you've got the Lakers off the bat, then OKC, then Houston, and then Brooklyn. And of those 4 teams, Brooklyn's probably the only team that you're not feeling all that great about beating. But the Lakers, even if LeBron is back, which he may or may not be back for that game, you still should feel good about your chance of beating them in your crib. And Houston, and OKC, look, they're playing for a lot of chips. Their guys are going out there.
Those two teams.
Yeah, because winning that game means more to you than it does to them.
Yeah, exactly.
They lose that game, it's like we're supposed to lose. We good. Mm-hmm. You lose that game, it's like damn, we gave away.
The red flags alerts are going to be up again if they lose to OKC and Houston. There's no reason why you're losing to those two teams,
especially if you get that ass smashed. Because Celtics, if we're being honest and real, they tend to not play their best inexplicably. Like, when they played Toronto earlier on this year, it was like their first home game, they played like crap. Mm-hmm. And we've seen them blow big leads. We've seen
even
them get
against Cleveland. I was not impressed, to be honest. Like, there needs to be like more blowout games for teams like that.
Yeah, and they should have won both of those games in Cleveland. I mean, really, that first one, up by 19, and that's like the second or third time this year they've had like a 19-point lead and found a way to choke it away. I'm like, come on, y'all. Y'all gotta be better than that. But so anyway, enough of the Celtics talk. Let's look around the NBA. We were talking. Was it last week? We were talking about the fight between Marcus Morris and Jokic,
which has died down surprisingly.
I think they all realize the impact on their bank accounts if they let this thing keep brewing.
Yeah, that's true.
The one thing about NBA players I've found is that they don't want to come off money. It's like they've got millions and millions and millions of dollars in the bank and millions and millions of dollars coming in every first and the 15th. And when you talk about them losing like 1% of that, which for you and I is probably like $1, $2, $5, they're like, right. We good. We weren't beefing. See, what happened was we just had a misunderstanding.
Right.
And now we understand that we don't want to miss them checks. So that's where the misunderstanding is right now. Mm-hmm. We understand we don't want to miss them checks. So Jokic, we good. And Jokic and his brothers, we good.
Shaking hands.
Everybody good. But now we have another little kerfuffle between Utah's Rudy Gobert and Indiana's Myles Turner. Now, this is one that big man fighting ain't the same as it used to be. I mean, I think about like if you swung at Charles Barkley, he was swinging back and he was probably going to hit you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same thing with Shaq. Same thing with Alonzo. Same thing with all the truly just impactful bigs. And yet Rudy and Myles, they got into this little sort of wrestling match, but nobody was trying to swing no blows. And I love after when Rudy talked about it, he made it pretty clear. Guys ain't trying to fight nobody in the NBA. And I'm like, you right.
Exactly.
You right. And I'm glad that he kept it 100 about that because there's so many. First of all, they ain't tough like that. They ain't built like that. Number one. Number two, they ain't trying to come off that money like that because if you swing and you hit somebody, you looking at missing games, which means missing checks, which means your kids and your significant other and your homies
lifestyle is messed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they go, wait a minute. You did what? Wait, so let me get this straight. He hit you hard, knowing you're going to get hit in the game regardless, and you got mad?
Yeah.
To the point where you rolled up on him? And that's going to cost us, and then it becomes us, because it's no longer about you. Then you're going to cost us $200,000-$300,000 because you got mad because he hit you harder than you thought you should have been hit.
I mean, that's when you say you wasn't with me shooting in the gym, but I digress.
And then you better go get our money back. You better be an all-star. You better get you better get an endorsement deal. You better find a way to get our money back.
Yeah.
So players, it makes me laugh when I see them like get physical and roll each other because they're not about that life. They're not about that life. They're not trying to be that guy. For literal reasons because of just the physicality. They're not trying to be that kind of physical. And more than that, they trying to come off that money.
Right.
But I tell you what, they may be kind of phony, but I'm not sure about this Washington Wizards team. They got the best record. I want to believe they're phony. I want to believe that they're not real, but you know what? They different. This is not the set, wash, fold Washington Wizards. They might actually be in this thing for a minute. What do you think about that team?
Well, for one, I don't think the Eastern Conference already looks the way people predicted that or thought they would, when you
Right.
look at the top 5. But clearly Bradley Beal isn't going anywhere.
I
When you
mean,
look at a team like that, why would not that that's directly correlating to the rumors, but like you mentioned in a few podcasts ago, he seems dedicated to
yeah,
winning in Washington. Obviously, it doesn't solely fall on him, but that team looks good as a result of the way he's been playing as well.
yeah, yeah. And he's getting help. I mean, Dinwiddie's a good
Yeah.
player, which I knew
Mhm.
he'd be a good help to them.
Which is crazy that Brooklyn didn't keep him. So,
Well, I mean, to me, Brooklyn,
but he
you
fits
can't
better
have,
in Washington.
yeah. Well, to me, Brooklyn, they're the team that's like, it's like playing Monopoly. You can't have Boardwalk, Park Place, and all the damn green properties and the red properties and the
Yeah,
utilities. You
you can
can't have
barely manage
everything
with the
on the damn block.
big properties. Yeah,
Exactly. You can't have it all. Somebody got to
Mhm.
get that B&O
You get
Railroad.
cut.
Somebody got to get
Right.
Pennsylvania Ave. Somebody's got to get some of that other stuff that you
I
can't
have never heard
have.
Monopoly referenced in a basketball analogy, but I respect it.
Welcome to my world, Kwani. Welcome to my world. But something had to give. And Dinwiddie, to his credit, was not willing to take a discount to stay in
Mhm.
Brooklyn, to be
Yeah.
basically a reserve / backup / what I like to call that man in the corner.
Mhm.
I love when Marcus Smart put that out there. That man in the corner. No, we don't want to be that dude. Dinwiddie
Yeah.
did not want to be that dude. So he took more money to go to Washington with a more prominent role, and he's getting it done. He is getting it done. And Bradley Beal, we haven't talked about Bradley Beal as an MVP candidate, but if they keep winning like this, you're going to have to put him in that conversation. To me, there's always there's like a top 5 MVP race every year. That fifth guy is basically the best guard in the NBA. Every year, that fifth guy is a guard. And
Yeah.
like when Isaiah Thomas was killing it in Boston, guess where he was? Number 5.
Mhm.
And so Chris Paul most years, number 5. Bradley Beal may be that guy this year, the way he's playing, the way he's impacting winning. And that's what, to me, is most impressive. He's finding ways to win, and not all their games have been easy. I mean, when they play the Celtics, it's been a dogfight, but they found a way to get it done. So that's a team that I'm really looking at and thinking that maybe they may not be as phony as I thought they would be.
Yeah.
So, but along the phony conversation, and depending on how you want to look at it, I don't think it's phony, but there are those who think he is phony. And we're talking Ben Simmons.
Oh
We're
gosh.
talking Ben Simmons. We're talking Ben Simmons because we can't do a podcast without talking about Ben Simmons or Kyrie.
This podcast is brought to you by Ben Simmons.
You can't do this. It's impossible to do it. And the latest on Ben Simmons, only because we like to talk about Ben Simmons because he's literally the one athlete who's always in the news these days.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he's been reportedly been fined for not traveling with the team on their 6-game road trip, which I guess he stayed back to work on his conditioning, but the Sixers weren't really buying that. So they're not only are they not buying it, they're literally not buying that, as in Wayne Pano ass, not buying it. And it again, the longer this thing draws out, Kwani, it seems that there are so many issues and tentacles to the story that just don't feel right. I mean, like, you've got a mental health dynamic involved in here where Ben has, he's getting help for that part of who he is. And the Sixers, they want, a team sponsored health person involved in the process. And that's been a little bit of a kind of back and forth struggle. And, you've got obviously he's not playing, and yet that's a roster spot that you can't fill. And that's a player that wants to be traded, but no one really wants to trade and give you anything of value because they don't know what they're getting. It's the whole situation.
Endless cycle.
Yeah. And it feels, I mean, I'm just curious, Kwani. I mean, how do you think this is eventually going to play out?
I'm so frustrated with talking about it. It really does. It makes it harder to predict what is going to happen because neither side seems to be budging at this point. And then you also look at the rest of the league watching this bleep show in Philly. Yeah. And like you said, not wanting to take the risk on a player that historically is good. But again, we haven't seen him play this season. So we don't know for all we know, he could just completely be out of shape and not know how to play basketball at all anymore. That's obviously dramatic, but no one knows what to expect from him. So I don't blame teams not wanting him. I don't blame the Sixers organization not necessarily wanting to trade him, and because no one's gonna budge at this point. So what's next? Like, someone has to put their foot down and change this saga, or we're gonna just keep talking about the same thing every week.
Yeah, and the thing about Ben is that the Sixers are going to have to embrace the fact that they're going to take an L on this deal. You're not going to move him and get fair market value in return. And if you're willing to keep him around and not play him and not trade him because you don't like the deals you're getting, then that's a tough pill for your fan base to swallow. Because they're going to be like, just trade him and get him the hell out of here so you can move on. And if you're another team that's contemplating trading for him, you are not going to give them fair market value because you literally have no incentive to do so. There is no reason why, if I've got prime cuts A, B, there's no reason why I need to give you my prime cuts when I can just give you some basic beef for that. Right. Because right now I'm not getting fair market value in return. You don't know what you're getting with Ben Simmons. You don't know where he's at. Forget about let's put the mental health aspect aside for now, because to me, that should not be in any way, shape, or form part of the conversation when you're talking about trading for him. And I hate that there's certain elements of folks who are trying to conflate his trade value with the things that he's working through from a mental health perspective. Those are two separate things. When you keep this strictly about basketball, he is someone who doesn't give any team reason to put your best foot forward, because you don't know what you're getting back in terms of basketball player. You don't know what you're getting in return in terms of basketball confidence, because the last image that most executives have of Ben Simmons is him deciding to pass to Matisse Thybulle, who is a worse free throw shooter than him, or as bad, I should say, as him, instead of dunking the ball where there was literally nothing between you and the rim, or whatever air was coming out your lungs. And then to double down on the drama, to double down on the dysfunction, you explained after the game that you passed because you thought you were going to get fouled, which is a big-ass red siren to every team that this dude got scared. This dude got scared. And I remember after that game, just talking with a couple of scouts and front office folks about that, just what did they think? And one of them, and I'm going to clean up his language a little bit, but he was just, basically his thing was, what the F did you think happened? The blankety blank got scared. And he spelled it S-C-U-R-D, scared. And so I was like, I kind of thought that, but I wasn't, but I needed to see if am I just in left field or just out in the middle of nowhere. But that was the sentiment that a lot of executives and folks in the basketball ecosystem had about Ben, was that in the most critical moment of his team's season, not only it wasn't that he didn't get it done, it's the fact that he didn't give himself a chance to fail. He didn't give himself a chance to give his team a chance to be successful. And that's why there's so much hesitation on the part of teams to give them anything or put anything on the table of value, because he makes everyone nervous. And my gut tells me that at some point they're going to take a lesser deal, that they're going to just say, you know what, this is a cloud of our organization that we need to get from under. And there's no way we're going to be able to do that as long as Ben, looking how things ended with us last year. And they're not going to put him on, they're not going to totally throw him under the bus, but they're just going to say, this was the best deal we could get. This was the best deal based upon factors that some of you know about and some of the factors you don't know about. This was the best deal we can get. And if I'm the Sixers, I'm trying to get a deal that has more draft picks than necessarily talent, because the players that you get from other teams are not going to be nearly as good as Ben. So right then and there, you getting shafted. But at least you get some picks.
That's in the future,
To me, you got a shot at getting lucky. I mean, that pick could be the 30th pick in the first round, and who knows? It could be the next Jimmy Butler. You just never. So you don't know what you're getting with those draft picks, but you got a shot at getting a good player. Whereas if you're getting some mediocre to below average talent in the NBA, guess what? You just added some mediocre to below average talent in the NBA, and you're not going to get better. So I'm hoping that there'll be some resolution sooner rather than later. So that gives us a chance to end the podcast on a different note than talk about some damn Ben Simmons.
Right.
But it's hard, but it's impossible not to talk about it because again,
he's the biggest storyline in the league.
He's the biggest wild card in the NBA. I mean, if let's say tomorrow he wound up getting traded to, I don't know, the Phoenix Suns for Jay Crowder or something like that.
Breaking. That'd be.
I mean, you just never know. So anyway, enough about Ben Simmons. Enough about
until next week.
Until next week. There you go. What you got coming, Kwani?
On NBC 10, I have 2 more packages from that Roxbury shoot that I did. So This week and next week, you'll be able to find them on NBC10Boston.com. I'm not going to tell you where I went, but they were 2 very fun locations that you should check out if you are ever in the Roxbury area.
So Kwani keeping secrets from us. I get it. Okay.
You don't have to make them go somewhere else to click.
Okay. Clickbaiter. I see what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm in Atlanta right now for the Celtics
Must be nice.
game. Yeah, so I'm here now, but I'm also here doing a couple things for Bleacher Report that I'm gonna pull a Kwani. I can't really get into right now, but I've got some things coming down the road with them, and also column for Ebony this week that I'll have, and that's pretty much it as far as content that I am putting together this week. But I'm excited that the Celtics are actually playing good basketball. I'm excited that I don't have to trash them every week because they're playing like trash.
You can write a little bit nicer things.
That's a good feeling. We started the podcast today on a high note, talking about Dennis Schroder and all the stuff he was doing. We saved Tatum near the end, and we didn't trash him. We just pointed out how he's just playing like crap, and they're still winning. We talked a little about Ben Simmons. He sucks, but that's another story. We don't need to get into that. But this was a positive, upbeat podcast.
Yeah.
This is the 50th podcast. This is the Eddie House podcast. This is so Eddie House, Mr. Positivity. My favorite Eddie House story was when he got traded from the Celtics, and we're out west. We're in LA, and we were going to practice when we got news of the trade, and Eddie was there at practice. Eddie had the option of just packing his stuff and going on and do his thing, or you could just deal with these knucklehead media folks for a hot minute. And Eddie chose us, and he was great. I've never seen a player get traded and immediately just casually talk to the beat writers that were no longer going to be with him. He was great, and Eddie just in general, even when he was with the Celtics, was a great talker, really good player. Is an ideal spark plug type player that when you talk about winning a championship, you've got guys like Eddie House in the building. So I'm glad that we got to the Eddie House podcast, number 50, and hopefully. Eddie's a really, really good dude. I'm one of my favorite players to deal with. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for checking out another edition of the A-List podcast with Sherrod Blakely and Kwani A. Lunis. Episode number 50, aka the Eddie House edition, is in the books. Check us out next week. We will be back for more engaging, enlightening, and entertaining chitter chat about the Boston Celtics and all that going on in the NBA. Fortunately or unfortunately, we'll be talking about Ben Simmons, most likely. Not planning to do it, but you just never know because Ben has a way of working his way into the damn rundown every single week. So, for Kwani A. Lunis, exactly. For Kwani A. Lunis, I'm Sherrod Blakely, and this is the A-List Podcast. We are out.